Hey everybody, it's Martha. As you know, I don't know why I say that. Welcome back. Day 19. Do you realize we're almost a quarter of the way through? I haven't quite run out of ideas yet. However, when you look at this, do you think I ran out of ideas? I don't know. As I said in yesterday's video, I went through all my stuff yesterday and sorted out scraps. Now, mind you, I have more than one scrap bag, but I forget that when I'm sorting through things and I'm separating things into piles of, is this a scrap? Is this a big enough piece of fabric to keep for something? All of that. So, I am just looking at my threads because I don't know what I want to use for this. No, definitely not that. That's really fine. Oh, I kind of like that. So, well, we'll keep that out. I think I'm going to use that, actually. It's DMC, and it's a 12 pearl cotton ecru is what it's called. So it's sort of a beigey neutral color. And so it has taken me probably somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours to put this together. So I'm going to quickly move my camera and show you something. So close your eyes while the camera moves. I'm going to see if this will work. Can you see what it's doing outside? That's snow. Yeah. It's the first snow we've had at all this winter. Okay. Oh, I never told you to open your eyes to see the snow. Well, you can always back the video up. Oh my gosh. So, yes, I hope this finds everybody well and safe. It's not the kind of snow that, many others have gotten or are getting today. North of us, this is supposed to be a blizzard in the northern states. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Virginia. It started out as a really fine snow, and now it's big wet flakes because temperature change, And did you know it does not have to be 32 degrees? I'm such a weather geek. It does not have to be 32 or below to snow. It's the temperature in the atmosphere that determines whether a precipitation will come down as snow or hail or whatever. Rain. I guess rain falls into whatever. Now, I have putzed around with this thing for at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, trying to get these pieces of fabric just right. And I am going to start right there because this little part here has given me so much grief. Oh, my knee hurts. I'm sitting with my knees up and my toes holding my legs up. So there is that. I apologize if the light is kind of stinky here. Hopefully that's better. Oops, sorry, shook the table. The light and the camera thingy arm are on the same tray table next to my chair, in which I am very comfortable sitting while I stitch. I could sit here for hours. And what's interesting is, do you ever get like you do something and all of a sudden it gives you a throwback to like maybe when you were a child? I was going through some things the other day, not the day before yesterday when I was doing all the sorting, a couple days before that maybe. And I was I came across two different types of doilies, crocheted doilies, and I sit in a upholstered, upright, straight back armchair. There's a name for it, and it's escaping me right now, as do most words when I'm talking to the camera and my friends out there in YouTube land. However, so I came across these doilies and I put them on the arms of the chair. They're not there now because I do so much in this chair that they were falling off every time I moved my arm to sew or I should say stitch, or, you know, to reach for something. But the memory that came to me was of my Nana, my grandmother, on my mother's side, in Maine. And I was, I want to say I was probably 13 or 14 when she passed away. And we only went up during the summers. So I did not get to know her really well. And I'm sad because there are several of my cousins, female cousins, that got to know her very well and spent a lot of time with her. My one cousin in California that now has dementia, she grew up living in our grandmother's house. So she got to spend all kinds of time with her and has all kinds of memories. And I used to love hearing the stories. But anyway, I don't know why, but I have a little congestion that when I take a breath, it's trying to make me cough. So I'm trying to just gently clear my throat. So I apologize for that. Anywho's, but the memory was of my grandmother sitting in a chair, very much like this. And I think, probably thinking back, because I've had this chair for, gosh, probably close to 15 years, maybe 10 years, 12 years, 15. I don't know. I'd have to stop and do math. You know me and math. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, oh gosh. Anyway, so I realized that seeing the doilies on the arms of the chair really made me think of my grandmother. And as I said yesterday's video, maybe the one before that, my grandmother was a crafty person. So beautiful knitting, made it look effortless. But knitting is not something that I can do it, but it's not something I succeed very well at. And following a pattern or doing anything like a cable stitch or anything like that, which my grandmother was totally capable of, is not my thing. So yeah, it's, you know, it's an art form, I'll tell you. You have to know what you're doing when you're doing that stuff. So, but yeah, it reminded me very much of my Nana and her. I loved their house. It was the coolest house. It was in Maine, in Lewiston, and it had a second floor with a little studio apartment up there. That's where my aunt and my cousin lived. And it had the prettiest staircase and banister coming down the front of the house towards the front door. But it had a hidden staircase, a back staircase as well. And it was just very cool. And the garage was attached, but in between the house and the garage was a mudroom. And I had never seen that before. And then the kitchen was humongous. I mean, ginormous. It was very, very large. And I loved it. And there was a little bathroom off of the kitchen on one side. And my brother once got stuck, locked himself in there. Can't remember if the doorknob fell off or what happened. But there were also the coolest doorknobs in that house. And then on the other side of the kitchen, there was a small bedroom. And because my grandmother had broken her hip way before I came along, I was one of the I was on the younger side. I wasn't the youngest grandchild because one of my other aunts, who was married to my mother's brother, so she wasn't by blood, but she had 7 children. And several of them were younger than me. So, anywho's, she had fallen on her basement steps, my grandmother did, and broke her hip. And from the time I remember, she had always walked with one crutch. But she could get around, and she was a spry little woman. She was full Irish and very sturdy stock. She was tiny, mind you. So she was, I believe, about my height, which the height I used to be before I was told I've shrunk an inch. But my mother was also around 5'2". But by the time they both passed away, they were like 4'10". So I used to eat a lot of ice cream and drink a lot of milk, and I don't anymore because I'm trying to be healthier and better to my body. But I hope I'm not 4'10" by the time I say goodbye to this world, because I'm already heavy. I'm a bit of a chunky monkey, even though I have tried. Look how big my stitches got when they were so nice and tiny. Oh, I hate that. I'm pulling them out. See, I get talking and I get in a rush. I don't like that. I'm like, why does it look so ugly when I started out and it looked so good? Do you do this? Does that make you crazy? Do you have OCD about that kind of stuff? Are you willing to tear your stitches out? I know. Now you're going to have to sit through this all again, huh? Well, you can always fast forward. Ugh. All right, I'll stop there. They're doable. They're acceptable, I guess, to some point, but I'm not going to keep going around and getting bigger, 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 bigger. I got to get smaller again. Okay. So yeah, I hope I don't shrink that much, because I would be one little roly-poly woman. I don't want to be roly-poly old lady. I mean, I'm already there, but I don't want to be any more roly-poly than I am. Okay, so this fabric with the circles in it, I ice dyed them. It's just a cotton muslin, and I ice dyed them last summer. I think it was last summer. Maybe summer before that, winter before that, who knows. Just bought some bags of ice and pre-washed and pre-treated the fabric. And ice dyeing is fun, and it's really easy, as I've said before. So if you want to dye your own fabrics, just get some cotton and the powdered, which I found very hard to find, the powdered RIT dye. I found it extremely difficult to find. I'm going to have to hold that down. Might be like everything else. Maybe they're not making the powdered dye anymore. Doesn't work with the liquid dye though. But I really loved how the fabrics came out. Oh, ooh. Because it's a surprise. Because you're not like, you know, folding it into triangles and putting rubber bands around it like that kind of dyeing. You just scrunch up the fabric. Stab my finger again. Darn. And pour the powders over the top. No, put the ice on it and pour the powders over the top. And it melts in whatever pattern it wants to melt in. So fun. Okay. So anyway, this is, I had bought some silk scarves and tried dyeing those, not ice dyeing. And see, I don't like that sticking out. I'm telling you, I've taken this thing apart and put it back together so many times. There. So, yeah, that memory of my Nana was kind of cool. I hope she would be proud of me for being a crafty girl. And trying all these things. That's going to be a big stitch because I got to make sure it holds that fabric in since it's frayed. Oh, still coming down in big flakes. It's not sticking though. I mean, considering February had some 70 and 80 degree days in it, I guess this is considered second winter. Indian winter. It's hilarious. I had a discussion with the barn owner. I'm like, it's not going to snow. She goes, they're telling us we're going to get snow. I'm like, nah. And she's one of those people that is, she's not, well, I guess maybe she is somewhat negative, but she sort of doomsday everything. Tends to doomsday everything. I don't know how to say that. But she's, I guess she's negative. But it, you know, she blows everything out of proportion. I'm like, even if it snows, it's not going to be bad. It's not going to stick. But then she's the one, you know, she and her helper, like they usually do lessons on Sunday. So I don't know if they're doing lessons or they're doing the indoor. They have an indoor arena. She just doesn't like to have to clean it and use the rake in the sand of the indoor arena. She tries to do everything as minimally as she can. She doesn't like riding the tractor because she fell off of it and hurt her ankle or her leg or something. And she can't afford to fix things up very much because she's sort of just getting by. But we keep praying that she won't raise our board fees because we can't afford it either. And the problem is that anybody else that we would think of moving to charges way more. Like, I'm talking a couple $100 more a month. So I know we're getting a deal, and even if she raised it $50 a month, she deserves it because cost of... Now see, that's stuck into my nail. I get so annoyed. I get so annoyed. Somebody should invent a way that the thread stays in the needle. That's my thing. Oh my goodness gracious me. The cost of everything has gone up. Hay, the cost of grain and feed, and I mean just everything. Just like, for us, groceries have gone up in price. I mean, horse stuff has gone up too. So diesel to run the tractor, gas for her to go get the stuff that she has to get, the horse feed and stuff like that. And so, yeah. Sad but true. So I know it would be, fair of her to raise the prices, but we're hoping she doesn't. Blue is a pretty easy guy. He doesn't get any grain, and he doesn't, lose a lot of weight. He gets the hay out. He's field kept, but, in weather like this, he's got a blanket on. So it's not like he's out there freezing or anything. And he's still got some of his winter coat, although it started coming off because, well, we had some 70 and 80 degree days. And I'm having a really tough time here because I'm right on the edge of the base heart underneath, see? I'm not even connecting. But that's okay. I'll just do this and make sure it sticks. This was so close to the edge, it was really hard for me to figure out how to do this. I mean, my spacing could have been better, probably. That probably would have helped. I'm just going to do a loop there. And again, I'll go under here, make sure it's connected. There's always a workaround. Hopefully, if this was used for a patch, somebody would whip stitch it on or blanket stitch it on anyway, and it would keep all those edges down. Yes, I know I'm getting big again, but these just had to be kind of big because of how I had to attach it. So it's okay. I hope I haven't been out of camera this whole time. It's annoying. Here, I'm going to move the camera a little closer, and that way, hopefully I'm staying on screen. Because I just get going on this, and I forget to look up to see if it's on the screen. I'll tell you, recording's not easy. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of work. But I like sharing, so I love the interaction I'm getting from you. It's fun to talk to other people, like-minded people, sharing. Oh, and the snow has turned to a very light. I would move the camera again and show you the birds on the deck now. They're all drinking water from the snow. But it's sort of well, it's pretty much turned to almost a rain now. It's 1 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's 1 o'clock. So of course the atmosphere has probably gotten a little warmer. And the birds are all chirping. The sun's trying to come out. I don't know if you noticed, but it's a little lighter. opened my drapes so that even though it was cloudy, the the light would, I was still getting some ambient light kind of stuff. All right, Martha, can you sneak one more in there and still be able to tie a knot? Maybe. Boy, thread chicken much? Yeah, good job. Even if I do say so myself. So for me to put together all of these fabrics like this is very unusual. I don't mix and match and do that kind of stuff often. I'm not very, now see, I do have a little patch, but I have ideas. I'm not done yet. So this fabric here I started telling you, and then I went off on a tangent about something else, of course, as I do. Do I ever finish a thought when I'm talking? No, very seldom. Okay, so this fabric here, I ice dyed, as I said, but then I cut out circles, which they don't look like circles now that I've sewn them on all wonky, but that's okay too, to make Suffolk puffs, or yo-yos as we know them here in the US. So my thumb doesn't want to work today. Years ago, really seriously years ago, I had cortisone shots put into my thumb joints. Don't ever do it. Number one, I found out afterwards that cortisone is supposed to do really bad things to your body unless you're really desperate. And the pain might go away for a little bit, but it doesn't last forever. And now they're saying that cortisone actually is bad for your joints. Like if you get your joints injected, shoulder, which I've had done, knees, I have not had done, any joint, your thumbs, I didn't even know they did the thumbs till I got my thumbs done. But oh my gosh, they put numbing stuff in, so when they inject it, at first everything is numb, which is great. But when that numbing stuff wore off, I was in so much pain because they're putting all this, they're injecting fluid into a joint that's little teeny tiny, because, you know, there's not much room in there. And it took about at least 24 hours for that to dissipate, to you know, absorb into my body. And when that numbing stuff wore off after about 3 hours, oh, I was crying. It hurt so bad. It was bad. My shoulder I didn't have the same kind of issues with because it's a bigger joint, but oh my gosh, the thumbs, no. I would never have fingers or toes done ever again. Yay. So there's that. And it's still, I love watching the weather. I'm looking out my window. It's still kind of a mix between a rain and a snow and a mist kind of thing. The snowflakes are right, like they're trying to be snowflakes, but they're wet snowflakes. I'm trying to go faster. I really am. It's just I have so many layers here. I don't know if I can do this. It's hard. And then my stitches end up too big. I don't know if this will work. It's working so far. You get out of the way, please. Thank you. Yeah, the silk scarf thing, this thing up here, I tried dyeing 3 silk scarves. It was either 3 or 4. And then I put them together. There's a garment where you sew like a back and then 2 things to the sides, but up here near the, like you leave, I don't know, 8 inches or something like that. I can't remember. You sew the first maybe 8 or 10 inches. Then you leave a gap of, I don't know, 10 or 15 inches. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then you sew the rest of the seam. And it's supposed to be kind of like a scarf jacket that you put on. It didn't hang right on me. It didn't stay on my body. The silk kept sliding off. It did not work for me. Probably because I probably needed it to be wider than the silk scarves. Like the back might not have been wide enough and the fronts might not have been wide enough. Because as I said, I'm a little bit round. So I don't know. I'm not sure why it didn't work. So I decided to cut them up and start using them in my crafts. So in my artwork. Because, you know, why not? If it didn't work as a garment, it'll work as a decoration of something else. And I'm okay with that. Someone said in one of the comments, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who said it. Ow! I'm going to have to be okay with that gap there. I just got to catch this corner. Okay. But that they have cut up old blouses and saved, like, if it had a bird on it or a butterfly or something like that. I don't wear blouses, first off. I used to have to wear blouses for work. I hated dressing up for work. Absolutely hated it. I do not like dress clothes. Never have. Hated high heels. Couldn't wear them most of my life because my feet are so bad anyway. Bone spurs and all kinds of other stuff. All right. I'm going to jump up here and just do this edge. And so I never had decorative. My blouses were usually white or black. And I don't wear decorative clothes. Like, I don't wear t-shirts with graphics on them of any sort. I have only one t-shirt. I have one t-shirt with feathers on it. Well, it's not a t-shirt. It's almost like a sweatshirt. But I don't wear it much because it doesn't stretch. So I like stretchy things. It's a claustrophobia thing for me. And so for me, decorative clothing is not something I usually have. I have gone into the thrift stores and looked for things, but I tend to just buy fabric with decorations like butterflies or hearts or, you know, birds. I have a really cute one that I'm going to do. Maybe I'll do that heart next. It's got owls on it, but they're not your traditional real life owls, and it's very cute. So maybe I'll do that heart tomorrow. But we have to go grocery shopping tomorrow. And then Tuesday afternoon, Tony has a doctor's appointment. If I can get a video done in the morning, I will. But if I can't, you'll have to forgive me. I will still make my heart, but sometimes mentally it's just easier for me to do them off camera if there's a lot going on. So please forgive me if that happens. Not sure what's going to happen with the appointment on Tuesday, but we'll see. A long time ago, I'm not sure if I told you this already. I may have, but I can't remember. Tony got pinned, his leg, his right leg, got pinned between the, you know how pickup trucks have a tailgate that comes down on them? Well, he was unloading the back of a pickup truck. Oopsies. Well, I'm going to leave it. See how much I don't care anymore? That went around, but it's not supposed to, but it's okay. So there was a person, another military person, who was driving another truck and pulling a trailer with that truck. So Tony and another guy were unloading the back of the pickup truck, and the guy driving the trailer, so say this is the back of the pickup truck, and Tony was standing here and the other guy was standing here. Guy came around with the truck, but cut the corner too short, and the trailer, here's Tony, the trailer ended up coming like this, and Tony pushed the other guy out of the way, but his right leg got pinned between the trailer and the bed of the pickup truck. And it left an injury, but it did not break his leg, because back then he had really muscular thighs. He did road marches. He was a drill instructor for years. Well, this was before he was a drill instructor, but he was a first sergeant, and they had to go on road marches, and they had to run in their uniforms and military boots back then. Now they let them wear either sneakers, or there's a different kind of boot that is very much like a sneaker. It's soft-sided and stuff. But I think now they're allowed to wear sneakers for that kind of stuff. But back then, they wore boots, big, heavy leather military boots. So he had very strong thighs. Plus, he played basketball and football, and yeah, he was an athletic guy. And so, okay. So I've done that. Probably need to come over here and do that. But I also need to do that. Okay. I'm close enough. I'm going to cheat here and do that thing I do where I go through the stitches instead of knotting it off. And just take it from here. So he went to the hospital. They sent him home. And didn't even give him crutches or anything. And then this is very, very tricky. And the poor guy couldn't even walk. It had crushed the muscle in his leg. But they said, well, you didn't break a bone, and sent him home. And I'm like, wait, what? So he couldn't even walk, like, he had to walk upstairs to get to the housing we were in. And then he couldn't, like, he sat on the couch and he was in so much pain. I thought he was going to pass out. And, oh, darn it. So I drove myself to the hospital, and I blasted the people there and said, you couldn't even give him crutches? He can't even walk. So they gave me a pair of crutches for him, but he didn't do very well with crutches. So, yeah, it was a pretty bad injury. And when it healed, the pocket actually filled with fluid, and you could feel it. It was like jello inside. Not to gross you out, but... And then nobody ever did anything about it, so he just continued on with his life when it healed. And then we came back to the States, and about 10 years later, the pocket that it had made had changed consistency. So his doctor was concerned, sent him to a specialist. I think it was a vascular guy. I can't remember now. We can't find his medical records. He thinks he shredded them. Oh, that's why I hang on to everything. But when he gets a hold of stuff, he just gets rid of it. But anyway, and the vascular guy did a surgery on him. And thankfully, there wasn't anything severe wrong with the leg. He took something out of it, said it was a non-cancerous mass. But they had to keep him overnight because his surgery ended up being delayed really late into the afternoon, and they wanted to keep a drain in it to make sure everything was okay. Sent him home the next day. And the day after that, the poor guy couldn't get off the couch and walk to the bathroom without turning white and almost passing out because the pain in his leg was so bad, but he couldn't tell me where the pain in his leg was. He said it didn't hurt where the surgery was. So I called the hospital, and they said, well, bring him in. Now, this hospital was not close by. It was in the middle of D.C., which I don't do well driving in D.C. But he ended up with a blood clot in his calf. It's like... So then he was in the hospital for a week of Thanksgiving that year, no less. So that kind of stunk. So he has some trepidation about going in and getting this thing checked, but it has changed again. So that was back in the 90s, and this is 2023. So I'm not sure what's going on with it. I hope to God they don't want to do surgery. He also does not do very well at all in MRI machines. He has to be heavily drugged, which is no fun for me because he acts really weird when he's heavily drugged. So... Okay, thread chicken again. We're almost there. Alrighty. Yeehaw. I want to tack that down right there. Not flapping in the wind. By golly, I think I got it all. Okay. All right. Now, the only other thing I'm thinking of is that I might want to put something else on it. I'm going to put you on hold for a moment. I shall return in a blink of an eye. I have returned. Sorry about that. Nature called. That's all I'll say. All right, so I have things that I can put here. Now I'm thinking the butterfly because butterfly, but it sort of blends in a lot there, doesn't it? But I need to cover this up here. So what else could I put there? I could put a flower. Don't love it. I could put some lace. Don't know if I like that. I have some crocheted thingies here. Could put that. Now here's a little one. could do that. I just had the most beautiful bluebird land on the deck railing, and I tried to get a picture of it, but the camera wouldn't cooperate. I don't know if I like any of those. I have some of these. I could put something like that on there. Or, I don't know. I'm not happy with any of that. I could put some lace on there. If I put it right there, it more or less covers it up. But I don't know if that looks out of place. I have something like that, but that's very dark compared to the other stuff I put on here. That's not hand dyed, done with inks and sprays and stuff. I mean, I have a bunny, but I think the bunny looks out of place. But I don't know, does it? I'm going to stick with the butterfly, of course. Who didn't know that? Raise your hand. Who didn't think I was going to go with the butterfly? Nobody's raising their hand. Everybody knew I was going to go with the butterfly, right? Well, welcome to my world. Such a lovely world it is. The most beautiful bluebird. Did I say blue jay before? I meant bluebird. Bluebird, it was huge. We do have 2 bluebird nesting boxes in our yard that were here when we moved here, and I'd like to put some more. But don't know. I can't seem to convince Tony. So, and he's the one who has to do the work, so I guess it's his call. Ow. Yes, my finger was behind there. Yes, I know where I'm poking. Yes, I'm tired of poking my fingers. Does that stop me from poking them? No. Come on. Yeah, so because Tony is going to get his leg checked out, I have for the moment put off any plans for my knee getting checked out. But I do have an appointment in early May with a doctor I have not been to before. I was going to go with the doctor that the lady at the mammogram office said that she really liked and that is here in this town, but I just don't get any warm fuzzies from him. And he's never said there are other options or you could do this or you could do that. It's just, yep, I'll schedule you for surgery. Doesn't answer questions. And I just don't want to go there again with that kind of doctor. And surgeons, I know surgeons are notoriously uncommunicative, but I won't even say what I just did. But, so I think I need to make a sleeve, a leather sleeve for this finger. Just put it on, put it on before I start stitching. And I have some leather down there when I was making flute wraps and stuff for the Native American flutes. And I should just make a sleeve for my finger. I really should. Probably never use it for anything else, so might as well make something useful out of it. Maybe I won't stab myself as much. The needle can still go through leather, but hopefully I'm not jabbing that hard that it'll go through all the way. So the snow has stopped. The misty rain has stopped. Well, I don't see it doing anything out there right now. The birds are singing because they've got water, which they get very happy about. We don't have a bird bath out there because bird baths are difficult to keep clean. A lot of work. And there's other water sources around here for the birds. So, most of the time. I mean, oops. Unless we have a very long, hot summer, which I'm hoping we do not have. Right on the edge again. Trying to aim my needle towards the fabric in the back. Oh, Martha. Went the wrong way. So anywho's, that's the first 2 days of my week that have things that we have to go out and do. So I may try and do another video, but if I'm not back, please don't get upset with me. As I said, I'll be working on my hearts anyway. I just can't always manage to get it all done on camera. So this is kind of a wild and crazy put together thing, and it's not the type I would typically do, but I kind of like it. Yeah, it's a mix and match of very weird fabrics and textures and colors, which is not my typical, you know me. I'm a very monochromatic person. So there it is. All the little stitches, all the funny colors, yellows and pinks. Nature puts yellow and pink together all the time, doesn't it? Thank you. I am grateful that you joined me. I appreciate it very much. Love you all. Take care. Have a great week. Oh, and if you didn't remember to turn your clocks forward last night, that might be why you weren't, you know, on time for something this morning. So, bye everybody. Have a great one. I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hugs. Bye-bye.